always been happy for him, been a fan of his, and I never imagined us fight. I never looked at him like.
Floyd Mayweather has sent warnings to Canelo Alvarez after sparring with Terence Crawford and working with him in the gym. It was actually Terence Crawford and his team who invited Floyd Mayweather to their training camp in an effort to better prepare for the challenge on September 12th. The boxing legend was brought in not just to spar with Crawford and observe him during other sparring and training sessions, but also to personally guide Crawford through the process, offering tips and strategies aimed at moving him closer to victory in September. In the footage released on social media, Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather were first seen standing by the ringside, engaged in a focused discussion, while Crawford and his trainers paid close attention to Mayweather's advice. Following this, the two entered the boxing ring, where Mayweather assisted Crawford in refining the finer details of his defensive stances, positioning, footwork, and movements before they began sparring. During the sparring session, Crawford displayed moments of relentless aggression, throwing punches with intensity as he worked to penetrate Mayweather's defense, a task he managed quite effectively. Later, he shifted his approach, moving to the back foot, stopping his flurry of punches and concentrating on defending against Mayweather's strikes.
If I take Floyd Mayweather in his absolute prime, and I take Manny Pacquiao in his absolute prime,
Floyd Mayweather.
Floyd still beats it.
Floyd beat everybody.
You don't believe there's a guy at 140, 147 in the history of boxing that could have beat Floyd in his prime?
Every time Floyd, man, that boy, man, that's the GOAT, man. That boy bad.
What makes it, I mean, what, because, and I told people, they say, look at Floyd. I said, Floyd, it's not that he trains, I mean, it's his life. And from the very beginning, he said, I want to be the.
After their training session together, Floyd Mayweather was asked about his thoughts on Crawford's performance. He responded by praising Crawford, describing him as a phenomenal fighter and one of the greatest of his generation. Mayweather mentioned that Crawford reminds him of himself and some of his past opponents, adding that he admires Crawford's hunger and his determination to leave a lasting legacy in the sport of boxing.
When I fought Canelo, I was 36, and Canelo was 23, around the same age. Some of these guys won world titles and was undisputed champion. I think, the tank age, the young little champions. Mm-hmm. Canelo was 23 with 43 fights and 30 knockouts.
Mayweather was also asked if he believed Crawford had what it takes to defeat Canelo Alvarez, a question he answered confidently. He stated that he has always acknowledged Canelo as a great fighter, but emphasized that Canelo has weaknesses that have been present since he was 23 and remain even now at 35. According to Mayweather, Crawford's fighting style is perfectly suited to exploit those vulnerabilities. Reflecting on Canelo's last fight, Mayweather pointed out how ordinary Canelo appeared in the ring. When it came to predicting the winner, he was clear and decisive, stating that Crawford would definitely win, as he already possesses the tools and secrets needed for victory.
He was inexperienced. I was 36 with 40-something fights. And to tell you the truth, I was over the hill. And so when I fight guys, when I'm in my 30s, and they're in their 30s, you know what they say? What's that? Oh, this guy all washed up.
The footage of Crawford and Mayweather training together generated significant excitement online, with fans eagerly commenting on how inspiring it was to see two boxing legends share the ring. Many praised Crawford for taking the right steps in his preparation, with one fan expressing pride and optimism, saying, Crawford and Floyd training together looks good. I'm proud Crawford is taking all the right steps, and I hope he wins on fight night. Canelo is definitely not ready for what Crawford is about to bring. Another fan added, that ring is suffering from too much greatness. I personally think Crawford would win, if this was ever a reason to make this real. Asterisk, a third fan, suggested that Crawford should listen closely to Mayweather's advice and also seek insight from Dimitri Bivol, saying, asterisk, Crawford needs to listen to Floyd to beat Canelo. He also needs to hear from Bivol. There's something those guys know that many don't. I feel it's their footwork and style, but Crawford just needs to make this work. Asterisk.
Look at like Floyd, and some boxers look down on Floyd doing these exhibitions, saying it's not real, it's just a cash grab. What are your thoughts on that? Would that be something that you would do?
Look, he's retired. He can do whatever he wants, right? And I think I'm gonna miss boxing when I'm retired a lot. And maybe I can do one or two.
One fan also commented, expressing appreciation for the support top fighters are giving Terence Crawford, saying, I like how the necessary fighters are giving Terence Crawford the support he needs. I just feel he'd get this done by decision. Big thanks to Floyd Mayweather. Reflecting on Mayweather's past, it's worth remembering his fight against Canelo in a World Boxing Council and World Boxing Association light middleweight title showdown in September 2013. This bout was the 45th contest of Mayweather's glittering career and pitched him against a young Mexican who was facing his toughest challenge to date. It was seen as a tough test for Mayweather going in, but the fight turned out to be a one-sided affair, with the American claiming victory on points, even though the scorecards were much closer than most boxing fans expected.
It's really that they don't want. It's not that they don't want to see Tank win because they feel like it's beating me because I dominated the fight game for so long. But these same writers out here, they praise Canelo. He can pick and choose who he want to fight.
Yours goes. Would you agree with that?
You know, a lot of times guys be like, well, I'm bigger. I got a longer reach. I'm a better fighter.
Mayweather dominated the fight from start to finish, using his skills and experience to outclass Canelo over 12 rounds and secure a majority decision victory. Despite clearly winning the contest, Judge C.J. Ross scored the fight 114-114, a decision that baffled many spectators, including Mayweather himself. Speaking of fight hype, the 47-year-old did not hold back in his assessment of Canelo's boxing ability, initially summarizing the fight in 3 blunt words. He was nothing. Mayweather went on to explain his views on the Mexican fighter more clearly, saying, you can take a guy like Canelo. I'll tell the truth about Canelo. The idiot was easy. A cakewalk. Easy. You're all praising this dude, but he was nothing. I was almost 40, and I cooked this dude easily.
It's really that they don't want. It's not that they don't want to see Tank win because they feel like it's beating me because I dominated the fight game for so long. But these same writers out here, they praise Canelo. He can pick and choose who he want to fight. And I'm gonna tell you,
Mayweather retired just a few years later, but more than a decade on, Canelo Alvarez remains one of the biggest names in boxing. He has secured world titles at middleweight, super middleweight, and light heavyweight, even becoming undisputed champion in the 168-pound weight class. After experiencing his first defeat against Mayweather, Canelo went on to win his next 15 fights, capturing world titles in multiple divisions along the way. Now, he appears set for another major showdown, a highly anticipated fight against fellow pound-for-pound great Terence Crawford, believed to be agreed for later this year. However, some observers are concerned about the weight difference, as Crawford will be moving up from 154 pounds to 168 pounds to fight, having only competed once before in the super welterweight division.
Which fight was more difficult between Mayweather or Bivol, and why?
I think both are similar. Just Bivol is bigger, so I think Bivol.
Because Canelo is naturally much bigger than Crawford, many believe the fight could end in a big knockout victory for the Mexican, similar to when Canelo faced Amir Khan, who had also moved up 2 divisions for their bout. With that in mind, Mayweather shared his thoughts on Canelo's power following their fight. When asked if Canelo's power concerned him going into the bout, Mayweather replied, "Not at all." He further explained in the ring, "It was nothing he hadn't felt before. It's nothing I have never felt before after being in the sport for over 20 years. When asked which fight was more difficult between Mayweather and Bivol, he said, "I think both are similar, just Bivol is bigger." Mayweather's comments may boost Crawford's confidence, especially since Canelo has failed to stop his last 5 opponents. The 34-year-old from Guadalajara, Mexico, currently holds a unified WBC, WBA, and WBO titles at 168 pounds, and is expected to defend his crown against fellow pound-for-pound star Terence Bud Crawford later this year in what could become one of boxing's biggest fights. Canelo's only other career defeat came in 2022 when he was comprehensively beaten by former WBA light heavyweight champion Dimitri Bivol.
Canelo did what he had to do to get the victory.
What do you want next? It seems like that's going to be the fight. Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez, the biggest fight in boxing.
Well, Canelo's the face of boxing. He's the best fighter for Terence Crawford out there. He's the biggest fight for Terence Crawford out there, so that's why Terence Crawford want to take the opportunity to share a ring with another great.
How do you beat him?
It has been almost 12 long years since Canelo Alvarez suffered his first career defeat against the mighty Floyd Mayweather Jr. at the time. Canelo was just 23 years old when he was given the opportunity to take on boxing's pound-for-pound megastar. The money and the opportunity were simply too good to turn down. Almost predictably, given his relative lack of experience at the very highest level, Alvarez came up short in that mega match at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas back in September 2013.
Everyone's talking about the weight differences. What's your kind of response to that, Terence?
That's why we fight the fight. So September 12th, we all going to see if the weight going to make a difference or not.
Do you want to fight him twice and then retire? Is that kind of the ideal thing?
One fight at a time, one fight at a time.
What did you make of, I know you didn't say much on tonight, the effectiveness of Williams' score? He came to decision as opposed to win the fight. Would you agree with that?
While one of the judges scored about a draw, the other two gave it comfortably to Mayweather. Since then, Canelo has clearly thought often about that night and what might have been. It is evident that he and many other keen observers believe the opportunity came too soon for the Mexican great. Now, at the age of 34, Alvarez is boxing's pay-per-view cash cow and is ready for more massive challenges after signing a landmark four-fight deal with Turki Alalshik and the Riyadh season. The first fight under that contract is a super middleweight title unification against Cuban William Skull in Riyadh on May 3rd.
He was boxing well, and then he just stopped doing what he was doing earlier. I don't know. I can't call it.
Do you think Canelo slipped as a fighter?
No, I don't. I just think that, William was doing a good job neutralizing Canelo power punches. He was just moving a lot.
Do you think that's a style you have to employ at points of the fight?
I don't know, because if you watch the styles that beat him, they didn't move a lot. They moved a little bit, but not as.
I'm not even a fan of that fight. They're too many weight classes apart. And although the skills, Crawford is one of the best fighters that I've seen. Now, Canelo is, fighting at 168. Crawford just moved up to 154. And he had some trouble with that in that fight. Now, where do you plan on going? 164, 65, 66?
However, that fight is seen by many as merely a tune-up for the big one. An absolute blockbuster against welterweight and super welterweight king Terence Bud Crawford. A clash between Canelo and Crawford would see Bud moving up 2 more weight classes for the biggest fight of his career. And without a doubt, it is the biggest fight boxing could make right now. It is penciled in for September, assuming Alvarez handles business on May 3rd. The man from Guadalajara admitted in an interview with Mike Coher of Ring Magazine that he believes the outcome of that night against Mayweather will be very different if it happened today. He feels he is a completely different Canelo now, and a showdown with Crawford, who possesses a style reminiscent of Floyd Jr., could be the perfect opportunity to prove it.
Determined, got that killer instinct, and in this sport, that's what you need. You gotta have a killer instinct. If you don't, you're gonna get knocked out.
Canelo ain't gonna come down to 160. Canelo ain't gonna come down, maybe 166 max if he accepts. I think Canelo wins that fight based on just the size, the power and size. Now, skill-wise, I think Crawford's a better skill fighter, but the difference in size will be the deciding factor. And that's why
when Coper presented that theory, Alvarez responded confidently, saying that it would be an opportunity to show people he is different now, that he is an experienced fighter. He admitted that he often thinks he simply needed more years before facing Mayweather, but he does not blame himself for that loss. Instead, he views it as a learning experience that contributed to his growth. Alvarez emphasized that this upcoming opportunity is his chance to demonstrate the kind of fighter he is today.
a for him. He wants to do something, collect belts before he can attempt that. But there's no money in that compared to the Canelo fight. And Canelo is trying to fight other guys, and at that point to fight for the money that's gonna generate. But as a fight fan, I'm not really a fan of that, man.
As the long-anticipated showdown between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez continues to spark excitement and debate within the boxing community, more and more professionals are weighing in with their opinions. Crawford, widely celebrated for his versatility and technical prowess, is aiming to move up 2 weight classes to challenge the undisputed super middleweight champion.